The massive space station gleamed like a silver jewel against the backdrop of swirling nebula gases. Station Harmonious Unity served as the central meeting place for the Galactic Council, home to the elder races who had ruled space for thousands of years before humans developed their first rocket. Greg Summers adjusted his diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. After decades of observation, humanity had finally developed faster-than-light travel, qualifying Earth for membership in the Galactic Council. As lead diplomat, the responsibility of first contact fell on his shoulders. "Remember, everyone stay calm and follow protocol," Greg said to his small team. "We're the new kids here." Dr. Lisa French, the xenobiologist, nodded while checking her translator device. "According to our studies, the elder races value formality and respect for hierarchy." "Well, they're about to meet humans," said Security Officer Paul Jenkins with a slight smile. "Let's hope they have a sense of humor." The airlock hissed open, revealing a grand reception chamber. 3 distinct alien species waited in formal arrangement. The tallest were the Viridians, with their long necks and 4 eyes positioned to see in all directions, an evolutionary trait from ancestors who lived in constant fear of predators. Beside them stood the Quilathi, smaller beings with large craniums and spindly limbs who seemed to flinch at every movement. At the edges waited the Merexi, stout creatures with protective outer shells and cautious blinking eyes. Council Chair Zorak of the Viridians stepped forward. "Welcome to Harmonious Unity, humans of Earth. We have observed your rapid technological advancement with interest." Greg bowed slightly, following the briefing protocols. "We are honored to join the galactic community and learn from your wisdom." "Indeed," Zorak replied, a hint of condescension in his translated voice. "Your species is young, barely emerged from your primitive state. The Council will guide your development appropriately." Greg maintained his diplomatic smile despite the patronizing tone. The Viridian continued explaining station rules and council protocols in excruciating detail, treating the humans like children who needed simple instructions. The human team exchanged subtle glances, but remained respectful. "Your quarters have been prepared according to Earth atmospheric conditions," Zorak finally concluded. "You may settle in before tomorrow's formal introduction to the full council." "Thank you for your hospitality," Greg replied. "I hope it's no trouble, but I've brought my companion with me. Luna helps me maintain emotional equilibrium during long diplomatic missions." The translator must have struggled with the concept as confusion spread across the alien faces. "Companion?" asked Kulati Ambassador Nixtral. "Your species travels with mates to diplomatic functions?" Greg laughed. No, Luna is my pet. My animal companion." This clarification did nothing to reduce the aliens' confusion. "You brought a non-sentient creature aboard this station?" Zorak asked, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Don't worry," Greg assured them. "Luna is perfectly trained and peaceful. She helps with stress and has all her vaccinations." Before the aliens could respond, a low rumbling sound came from behind the human delegation as the second transport door opened. Several crew members guided a large reinforced container forward. The container moved slightly as if something inside shifted its weight. "What is the meaning of this?" demanded Zorak, taking several steps backward. "Just Luna's transport crate," Greg explained casually. "Space travel makes her anxious, so we sedate her for the journey. She should be waking up now." Paul Jenkins unlocked the crate and swung the door open. The aliens watched in growing horror as a massive white and black striped form emerged with fluid grace. The Siberian tiger stretched her powerful limbs and yawned, revealing rows of gleaming white teeth designed by evolution to tear through flesh and crush bone. Chaos erupted instantly. Emergency alarms blared throughout the reception area. The Kulati scattered with high-pitched screams, several diving behind furniture. The Merexi pulled their limbs into their protective shells. The Viridians' neck frills extended in terror as they backed against the far wall. "Predator breach! Security to reception chamber!" Zorak shouted into his communication device. "Humans have released a death beast." Greg stood confused as Luna calmly sat beside him, her tail swishing gently across the polished floor. The tiger looked at the panicking aliens with mild curiosity. "Everyone, please calm down," Greg called over the alarms. "Luna is completely domesticated. She's as gentle as a kitten." This statement did nothing to soothe the aliens, who seemed even more disturbed by the word kitten, suggesting there were smaller versions of this monster. Security forces rushed into the room, robotic drones designed to contain threats without violence. They formed a barrier between the humans and the council representatives. "Call off your beast immediately," demanded Zorak from behind the security line. Greg sighed and looked down at Luna, who was now grooming her paw, completely ignoring the commotion. "Luna, sit," he said calmly. The tiger was already sitting but shifted her weight to demonstrate compliance. "See? Perfectly trained." Lisa French stepped forward cautiously. "I believe we're experiencing a cultural misunderstanding. On Earth, humans have domesticated various animal species over thousands of years, including predators like Luna." Domesticated? The word seemed to confuse the translator again. "You claim control over an apex death beast?" "Well, yes," Greg said, reaching down to scratch behind Luna's ears. The tiger leaned into his touch and made a rumbling purr that caused the aliens to flinch again. "Luna's family has been in captivity for generations. She was raised by humans. From birth, she's essentially a very large house cat." "Impossible," whispered a Morexi scientist who had cautiously extended an eye stalk from his shell. "The creature has killing teeth and claws. Luna is an endangered species on Earth," Lisa explained. "Tigers nearly went extinct in the wild. This one was bred in a conservation program." Greg felt the diplomatic situation slipping away. What had seemed like a normal thing to him, bringing his therapy animal on a long mission, had clearly violated some unspoken galactic taboo. "Perhaps we should continue this cultural exchange tomorrow," he suggested diplomatically. "Luna and I will retire to our quarters. I assure you she poses no threat." "The beast must be contained," insisted Zorak. "Our security will escort it to a level 10 holding facility." Greg's expression hardened slightly. "Luna stays with me. She's registered as a support animal and has diplomatic protection under our preliminary agreement." A tense standoff followed. Finally, a younger Viridian aide whispered something to Zorak, who reluctantly nodded. "Very well. The creature may remain in your sealed quarters under constant monitoring. But this," he gestured at Luna with a trembling limb, "will require explanation to the full council. In all our history, no species has ever brought a predator aboard this station." As the human delegation was escorted to their quarters, Luna padding calmly alongside Greg, whispers followed them through the corridors. Word spread quickly through the station. The humans had arrived, and they kept killers as pets. The first contact was not going according to plan. Word spread quickly through station harmonious unity. The strange new species called humans had brought a striped death beast aboard as a pet. Security protocols had been upgraded throughout the station, and many alien delegates took longer routes to avoid the human quarters. Greg Summers sat in the diplomatic lounge, drinking something that resembled coffee but tasted like mint and seaweed. Luna lounged at his feet, occasionally flicking her tail. Two security drones hovered nearby, their sensors trained on the tiger. "This is going well," muttered Lisa French as she joined him. "I've received 14 messages asking if all humans keep apex predators in their homes," Greg sighed. "I didn't think Luna would cause such a stir. The briefing materials never mentioned the elder races would be so jumpy. Apparently most council species evolved from prey animals," Lisa explained. "Their homeworlds had dangerous predators they escaped from or outthought rather than domesticated. The concept of living alongside predators is completely foreign to them." Their conversation was interrupted by a station-wide announcement. "Attention all personnel. Earth transport vessel Horizon Dawn has docked at Bay 12. Security team stand by." Greg checked his tablet. "That's the ship with the colonial representatives. They're a day early." "Let's hope they didn't bring anything more alarming than Luna," Lisa said with a wry smile. 20 minutes later, the lounge doors slid open. A woman with curly brown hair and a blue uniform entered, followed by a large, gray-furred animal that walked calmly at her side. Olivia Martinez, representative for the Mars and Europa colonies. She introduced herself with a warm smile. Then she noticed the stares focused not on her but on her companion. "Oh, this is Shadow. Is there a problem?" Greg pinched the bridge of his nose. "Please tell me that's not a wolf." "Technically, he's a wolf-dog hybrid. Mostly wolf, though," Olivia said proudly. "He's my therapy animal. The colony psychologists recommend animal companionship for long-term space travelers." Luna raised her head, golden eyes fixing on Shadow. The wolf dog's ears perked up, but neither animal showed aggression. They seemed to acknowledge each other with mutual respect. "The council is already freaking out about my tiger," Greg explained. "Now we've got a wolf too." "Make that 3 problematic pets," came a male voice from the doorway. A tall man in a science division uniform walked in, carrying a container. "Alan Porter, Xenobiology Research Division," he introduced himself. "I heard there was some confusion about Earth animals." The station alarm suddenly blared as Alan opened his container, and a sleek black snake slithered up his arm, wrapping itself around his shoulders. "That's a black mamba," Lisa gasped. "One of the deadliest snakes on Earth." "Modified genetics," Alan explained calmly as the alarms continued. "Venom glands removed, but she retains her hunting instincts. Helps me with my research on reptilian species. Her name is Ebony." The security drones moved closer, their weapon systems activating. Greg covered his face with his hands. "This is a diplomatic nightmare." The door burst open again as a team of alien security officers rushed in, led by a nervous-looking Kulathi official. "More death beasts," the official shrieked, pointing at Shadow and Ebony. "The humans are assembling. An army of predators." "They're not an army," Olivia tried to explain. "They're companions." The station's chief of security, a stern Morexi named Dox, pushed through the crowd. Unlike his cowering colleagues, Dox approached with cautious professionalism. "Humans," he said firmly. "The council has called an emergency session regarding your animals. Your presence is required immediately." The Grand Council chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from 27 species had gathered to witness the strange humans and their predator companions. Murmurs filled the room as Greg, Olivia, and Alan entered with their animals, walking or draped around them. Council Chair Zorak called for order, his neck frills still partially extended in stress. "Humans of Earth," he began formally. "This council requires explanation. Our research indicates these creatures you bring among us are classified as dangerous, even on your own world. The spotted Death Stalker," he pointed at Luna. "The Greypack Hunter," he indicated Shadow. "And the Silent Killer," he finished, unable to look directly at Ebony. "With respect, Chairperson," Greg replied, "there seems to be a fundamental cultural difference in how our species view animal life. Humans have lived alongside these animals for thousands of years. We've bred them, trained them, and formed mutual bonds with them." A Kulathi scientist stepped forward, activating a holographic display. "Our analysis of Earth transmission shows these creatures killing their prey with extreme violence. Yet human children are shown in proximity to similar beasts without protection." The palm display showed images from Earth: a child hugging a large dog, a falconer with a bird of prey on his arm, zoo trainers working with lions. "This is normal on Earth," Lisa explained. "Humans domesticated animals for companionship, work, and protection. We've selectively bred them for desirable traits over many generations. But the small humans with the large tooth beasts, a Morexi," Delegate said with horror. "Are they not afraid?" "Children on Earth often grow up with pets," Olivia said. "It teaches them responsibility and empathy." A new voice joined the conversation. Kate Williams, the cultural attaché who had just arrived from Earth. She walked confidently to the center of the chamber. "If I may," she began, "I've prepared a presentation on Earth's biodiversity and human relationships with animals." The display changed to show the long history of human-animal bonds, from ancient cave paintings of hunters with dogs, to modern service animals helping people with disabilities. "Humans began as prey animals ourselves," Kate explained. "But over time, We formed partnerships with other species. Some were predators that became protectors. We didn't just escape our predators. We befriended them. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Viridians exchanged troubled glances. The Kulati whispered among themselves with growing agitation. Are humans themselves predators, then? Asked a delegate from the back of the room. Kate smiled. We're omnivores, both predator and prey in a sense. Perhaps that's why we can bridge these worlds. As if to demonstrate this harmony, Luna stretched and moved to sit beside Shadow. The wolf dog and tiger, natural enemies, in the wild, simply ignored each other. Ebony. The snake continued to doze, wrapped around Alan's arm. Impossible, whispered one alien to another. They've somehow controlled the killing instincts of apex predators. Zorak cleared his throat. This council must evaluate the implications of this unusual behavior. If humans can command death beasts with simple words, what does this suggest about your species? Greg tried to explain again. They're not death beasts to us. They're companions, helpers, sometimes even family members. But he could see his words weren't fully breaking through. The elder races weren't just surprised by the animals. They were beginning to look at the humans themselves with new wariness. The session ended. Greg overheard a Viridian security officer whispering to his colleague. A species that tames apex predators for amusement. Perhaps the true apex predators are the humans themselves. The rumor spread through the station like wildfire. The humans weren't just strange newcomers. They were something else entirely. A species that walked alongside killers as friends. 3 days after the humans' arrival, Station Harmonious Unity hosted the first major trade negotiation with Earth representatives. The grand conference room was filled with delegates from 12 different worlds. The Viridians and Kulati sat, as far from the humans as politeness allowed, while the Morexi maintained a neutral middle ground. Greg sat at the head of the human delegation. Luna remained in their quarters for this meeting as a goodwill gesture. Olivia and Alan had similarly agreed to leave their animals behind to ease tensions. The Earth colonies offer rare minerals from our asteroid mining operations, Greg explained, displaying charts on the large screen. In exchange, we seek agricultural technology suitable for Mars terraforming. The negotiations proceeded smoothly for nearly an hour. The elder races seemed to relax as they discussed familiar topics of trade and resources. The humans were odd, certainly with their predator companions, but they understood commerce well enough. Then the lights went out. Emergency lights flickered but failed to activate properly. The room plunged into darkness so complete that even the Kulathi, with their sensitive eyes, could barely see. Remain calm, called Zorak's voice. Station systems will restart momentarily. But the seconds stretched into minutes, and the backup systems failed to engage. Murmurs of concern spread through the darkness. Something's wrong, said Dox, the Morexi security chief. This is not a standard power failure. Greg felt his communicator vibrate with an incoming message. He activated it, the small screen providing the only light in the room. Sir, came the voice of Security Officer Paul Jenkins. We've detected unauthorized access to the station's main systems. Possible cyber attack in progress. Greg shared this information with the room. The alien delegates grew agitated. We are vulnerable here, whispered a Viridian counselor. If this is an attack... A loud bang from the corridor outside interrupted her words. Then came sounds that chilled the blood of the elder races, footsteps approaching, heavy and purposeful. Though, conference room doors slid partially open, forced by mechanical means rather than automated systems. Dim light from the corridor revealed several shadowy figures entering. Nexari Collective, Dox hissed. They must have infiltrated during the supply delivery. The Nexari were a radical faction that opposed the Galactic Council, believing the elder races were stagnating and needed to be overthrown. Their raids had grown increasingly bold in recent months. Nobody move, commanded a harsh voice as the intruders spread through the room. This meeting is now under the control of the Collective. Diane Rogers, captain of the Human Security Detail, stood slowly. I suggest you reconsider, she said calmly. This attack will not succeed. The lead Nexari laughed. Your confidence is misplaced, human. We control all systems. The station defense forces are locked out. He raised a weapon. Now sit down. Diane smiled. I wasn't talking about the station defenses. She touched a small device on her wrist. I was talking about our own security measures. The conference room doors suddenly burst fully open. 3 large shapes bounded into the room. Luna the tiger, Shadow the wolf dog, and a massive brown animal the aliens had never seen before. What is that? Gasped a Kulati delegate, pointing at the newcomer. That's Kodiak, Diane explained, as the Alaskan brown bear rose to its full height of nearly 9 feet. He belongs to our logistics officer, Sam Wright. The Nexari raiders froze in shock at the sight of Earth's apex predators. Their weapons wavered between the animals and the delegates. Attack pattern Delta, Diane called clearly. The animals moved with surprising coordination, each taking different positions around the room. Luna stalked forward, muscles rippling beneath her striped fur as she focused on 2 raiders near the main door. Shadow circled to the right, cutting off the escape route of another group. Kodiak simply stood his ground, his massive presence blocking the path of the Nexari leader. What devilry is this? The leader demanded, his weapon now aimed at Diane. Just good training, she replied. Luna, forward! The tiger sprang into action, not attacking but rushing past the raiders with shocking speed, knocking their weapons aside with powerful paws. Shadow darted between the legs of another attacker, causing him to stumble and drop his weapon. The Nexari fired wildly, missing their targets as the animals moved with practiced precision. The elder races watched in amazement as the Earth predators worked in perfect harmony with the humans, disarming rather than killing. Kodiak, contain, Sam called from the doorway. The bear lumbered forward, driving 3 raiders into a corner, without touching them, using only his intimidating presence. In less than 2 minutes, the Nexari were disarmed and surrounded. The human security team entered to take them into custody. The emergency lights finally flickered on, revealing the aftermath. No blood had been shed. The raiders were subdued, sitting against the wall under guard. The 3 animals had returned, to their handlers, calm and controlled despite the chaos moments before. The council members stared in disbelief. They had just witnessed Earth's deadliest predators acting with restraint and purpose, following complex commands in a crisis situation. How is this possible? Zorak finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. These creatures, they acted against their nature. Greg shook his head. Not against their nature. Working with humans became part of their nature over thousands of years, protecting the pack, which includes us. The Morexi security chief approached cautiously, his protective shell partially opened in a sign of trust. Your animals sensed the intruders before our systems detected the breach. They knew something was wrong. Sam nodded as he scratched Kodiak behind the ears. The massive bear made a contented sound that nonetheless caused nearby aliens to step back. Predators have instincts we've never lost. They can smell fear, detect changes in behavior. Makes them excellent security partners. Kulathi Ambassador Nixtral, usually the most timid of the council members, approached slowly. May I observe the striped one more closely? Greg looked to Luna, who sat regally beside Diane. She won't hurt you. You can approach, but move slowly. With trembling limbs, the ambassador came within a few feet of Luna. The tiger regarded him calmly, ears forward in relaxed attention. Our histories teach that predators are mindless killing machines, Nixtral said quietly. Yet this creature showed restraint. It could have killed those raiders, but chose to merely disarm them. Luna follows commands, Diane explained. She's trained for security operations, not hunting. As the station systems gradually came back online, word of the incident spread quickly. Security footage showed the Earth animals working alongside humans to thwart the Nexari attack without bloodshed. Later that evening, the council convened an emergency session to discuss what they had witnessed. The humans were not invited, but their animals were the only topic of conversation. Perhaps suggested a young Viridian scientist. We have misunderstood the humans. Their relationship with predators is not a sign of recklessness, but of remarkable ability. Or perhaps, countered an elder Kulathi, it is evidence that humans themselves are the most dangerous predators of all. The full Galactic Council gathered 1 week after the Nexari attack. The Grand Assembly Hall buzzed with excited conversation as delegates from across the galaxy filed in. Many had traveled great distances just to see the humans and their mysterious animal companions. At the center of the chamber stood a special platform where Greg, Olivia, Alan, and Diane waited with their respective animals. Luna lounged at Greg's feet, her tail occasionally twitching. Shadow sat alertly beside Olivia, while Ebony the Black Mamba remained draped around Alan's shoulders. Sam stood a bit apart with Kodiak, the bear's massive size drawing constant stares. Council Chair Zorak called the session to order, his neck frills now relaxed in the presence of the Earth predators. The once terrifying animals had become objects of intense fascination rather than fear. This special session will examine the unique human-animal relationship and its implications for the Galactic Council, Zorak announced. We begin with scientific analysis. A Kulathi biological expert approached the central podium. Behind her, large screens displayed DNA sequences and evolutionary trees. Our analysis of human biology reveals something extraordinary, she began. Unlike most council species who evolved either as dedicated predators or prey, humans developed as omnivorous pursuit predators. Images appeared showing early humans hunting in groups, tracking animals across plains. Humans lack natural weapons, the scientist continued. No claws, weak teeth, limited strength compared to Earth's apex predators. Yet they hunted alongside those same predators rather than only fleeing from them. Another scientist, a Morexi, with specialized optical implants, took the podium next. Human psychology shows a unique duality. They possess both predator and prey instincts in balance. They can switch between cooperation and competition with remarkable flexibility. The screens now showed modern human activities: children playing with dogs, police officers with K9 units, wildlife researchers tagging sharks. Most remarkable is their ability to form bonds with species that should view them as prey, the Morexi. Scientist noted. This pattern appears throughout their history. Greg stepped forward when invited to speak. On Earth, we've lived alongside animals for our entire existence. About 15,000 years ago, we began actively domesticating them, changing them through selective breeding to enhance traits that benefited both species. But why would you choose predators? Asked a Viridian delegate. Surely docile plant eaters would be safer companions? We domesticated both, Greg explained. Cows, sheep, and horses for food and labor, but predators offered different benefits: protection, hunting assistance, and companionship. The screen showed images of early wolves hunting alongside humans, then gradually transforming into domestic dogs through thousands of generations of breeding. The animals gained reliable food and protection, Lisa added. Humans gained loyal companions with special abilities, keen senses, strength, speed. It was a partnership that helped both species survive. A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber as the implications sank in. The elder races had always avoided their planet's predators or eliminated them. The human approach was entirely different. We have received disturbing intelligence, said a stern Viridian military officer who took the podium next. Human historical records indicate they have even adapted predator species for warfare. The screens displayed military working dogs, dolphins trained to detect underwater mines, and even historical images of war elephants. The council chamber erupted in concerned whispers. Ambassador Daniel Clark from the human delegation stood up, quickly. Those examples are either from ancient history or involve animals trained for detection, not attack, he clarified. Modern military animals primarily save lives by finding explosives or lost people. His attempt to ease tensions fell flat when Sam's bear Kodiak stood up on his hind legs to stretch, reaching nearly 9 feet tall. Several delegates gasped at the display of size and power. Perhaps a demonstration would help, Kate Williams suggested. sensing the rising tension. We've prepared a small presentation we call Pet Day to help you understand our more common animal companions. The central area cleared, and several more humans entered with a variety of Earth animals. A golden retriever dog, a small cat, a rabbit, and a colorful parrot. These animals, less intimidating than the predators, moved freely among the humans. The parrot spoke simple phrases delighting the audience. The dog performed tricks, retrieving objects when commanded. The cat simply did what cats do, ignored everyone and groomed itself, causing unexpected laughter among the delegates. Young aliens, more curious than their elders, approached cautiously. A small Viridian child reached out a trembling hand to touch the golden retriever, then giggled in delight at the soft fur. Not all Earth animals are apex predators, Kate explained. But even those that are can form bonds with us based on mutual respect and care. As the demonstration continued, a group of Kalathi scientists huddled in serious discussion. Their senior researcher finally approached Zorak and whispered urgently in his ear. The council chair's expression changed. He signaled for attention. The council has been presented with a proposal, Zorak announced. Given recent events, some suggest humans be classified as a guardian species, rather than simply a new member race. Greg looked surprised. Guardian species, what does that mean? It is a rare designation, Zorak explained. Reserved for species whose natural abilities offer protection to others. The Morexi shield crafters hold this status for their defensive technologies. The Viridian early warning systems serve a similar function. And our contribution would be, Greg asked. Your unique relationship with predator species, Zorak replied. No other council race can work with such creatures. In the attack, your animals detected threats our technology missed. The proposal sparked heated debate. Some delegates argued it gave humans too much status too quickly. Others pointed out the practical benefits demonstrated during the Nexari attack. We should not rush this decision, cautioned an elder Kalathi. These humans have been among us mere days. Their animals are impressive but unpredictable. Unpredictable? Diane Rogers raised an eyebrow. Luna and Shadow followed every command perfectly during the crisis. They showed more discipline than some sentient species. As the debate continued, Sam noticed Kodiak growing restless. The bear's nose twitched and he turned toward a service entrance at the back of the chamber. Something's wrong, Sam said quietly to Greg. Kodiak senses something. Before Greg could respond, the bear gave a low, warning growl. Shadow's ears perked up, and Luna rose to her feet, eyes fixed on the same door. Diane tapped her communication device. Security checked the service corridor behind the council chamber immediately. The animals had detected another threat before any technology could. The elder races fell silent, watching with new understanding as humans and Earth predators moved as one, ready to protect the council once again. 3 months passed since the humans first arrived at Station Harmonious Unity. The initial fear of their animal companions had transformed into cautious respect. Luna, Shadow, Kodiak, and Ebony became familiar sights in the diplomatic sections of the station. Young aliens no longer ran screaming when they saw the tiger or bear walking with their human handlers. Greg sat in his office reviewing trade agreements when an urgent alert flashed across his screen. Council Chair Zorak requested an immediate meeting with all human representatives. When Greg arrived at the council chamber, he found the room filled with grim-faced aliens. Military officers from various species clustered around holographic displays, showing star maps with red warning indicators. What's happening? Greg asked Olivia, who had arrived before him. Attack on an outer colony, she whispered. Something bad. Zorak called the emergency session to order. 3 days ago, we lost contact with New Haven Colony in the Cygnus sector. Yesterday, our scout ships found this. The central display showed footage of devastation, buildings torn open, infrastructure destroyed. The colony appeared completely abandoned, with no bodies visible but clear signs of violence everywhere. Survivors report they were attacked by a previously unknown species, Zorak continued. The attackers called themselves the Vorax. They left this message at other nearby systems. The display changed to show an alien unlike any Greg had seen before. The creature had 6 limbs with razor-sharp claws, a sleek body built for speed, and eyes that reminded Greg of Earth's most efficient predators, forward-facing and calculating. Prey species of the galaxy, the Vorax announced in a harsh translated voice. Your time of false dominance ends now. We have watched from the void. We have studied your weaknesses. You are food and territory to be claimed. This is the natural order. Silence fell over the chamber as the message ended. The implications were clear. The Galactic Council, composed largely of species that had evolved from prey animals, now faced an aggressive predator species with advanced technology. Our defensive systems proved ineffective, reported a Viridian military commander. The Vorax use hunting tactics we cannot predict. They do not fight like civilized beings. They fight like predators, Greg said quietly. All eyes turned to him. Yes, agreed Zorak, which is why we have called this session. Humans may understand these Vorax better than we do. Greg studied the footage showing Vorax attack patterns. They're using pack hunting strategies similar to wolves or lions on Earth. Coordinated attacks cutting off escape routes, targeting the weakest points first. Sam Wright stepped forward. Our history includes thousands of years of both fighting predators and working with them. We might be able to predict their behavior. A bold plan took shape over the next hours. The Council would send a defensive force to protect the next likely Vorax target, a mining colony called Deepwell. Humans would join this mission, bringing their unique understanding of predator psychology and their animal companions. 2 days later, a mixed fleet arrived at Deepwell Colony. The human ship Dakota carried a special unit called Wild Guard, men and women paired with trained Earth predators modified for space operations with protective gear and communication devices. The colony's inhabitants looked on with a mixture of fear and wonder as the Wild Guard team spread throughout the settlement. John Miller led a pack of 6 modified wolves fitted with lightweight armor and sensory equipment. Linda Hayes directed a small group of trained birds of prey, hawks and eagles wearing special flight systems for the low-gravity environment. As the defensive forces set up their positions, Linda's birds soared high above the colony, providing a view no technological scanner could match. The instinctive understanding of aerial predators watching for movement patterns. Contact, Linda suddenly called over the communication system. My eagles have spotted unusual movement in the northern canyons. Something's trying to stay hidden. John Miller deployed his wolf pack to investigate. The wolves moved with silent coordination, their enhanced senses detecting what technology missed: faint scents, subtle vibrations, the nearly imperceptible sounds of hunters trying to remain hidden. The wolves' behavior changed abruptly. They formed a defensive circle facing outward. They've detected something surrounding us, John reported. Classic ambush formation. Armed with this warning, the defenders repositioned just as the Vorax attack began. Instead of being surprised, the Council forces were ready. The battle was fierce. The Vorax moved with shocking speed and coordination, just as the humans had predicted. But now the defenders understood their tactics. Where the elder races would have formed static defensive lines, the humans suggested fluid, responsive formations that adapted to the Vorax movements. Linda's birds tracked Vorax who tried to flank the defenders, while John's wolves detected hidden attackers. Sam's bear Kodiak stood his ground at a critical choke point, his massive form and thunderous roar actually causing several Vorax to hesitate. Predator, recognizing predator. Most surprising to the Council forces was how Greg used Luna in the command center. The tiger's reactions to the battle displays helped him anticipate Vorax movements. They're thinking like tigers, Greg explained to Zorak as they coordinated the defense. See how they test different points looking for weakness? Luna does the same thing when hunting. Watch her eyes. She's tracking their patterns instinctively. The battle lasted 14 hours. When it ended, the Vorax had retreated, leaving behind their dead and wounded. It was the first defeat they had experienced since entering Council space. 1 month later, The full Galactic Council convened on Earth itself, an unprecedented honor for a new member species. The Great Hall in Geneva was filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Many looked nervous at being on a planet known for its dangerous wildlife, but curiosity overcame their fear. Vorax stood before the assembled delegates. Today, we recognize a truth that has changed our understanding of the galaxy. For too long, the Council species believed we had risen above our evolutionary origins by escaping our predators. Humans took a different path. They befriended theirs. The chamber doors opened and the Wild Guard unit marched in with their animal companions. Behind them walked ordinary Earth people with everyday pets, dogs, cats, falcons, even a few horses, and elephants outside the building. Humans shall henceforth be known as the Guardians of the Covenant, Vorax announced formally. The species who tamed their predators rather than fleeing them, who understand both sides of nature's balance. Greg accepted the ceremonial staff of guardianship, Luna sitting regally beside him. We're honored by this trust. Earth stands ready to help defend the galaxy against the Vorax and any other threats. The final ceremony took place in a special training facility established near Geneva. Here, interested members of other species could learn about Earth's animals firsthand. Under careful supervision, a young Viridian child held out a trembling hand toward a German shepherd puppy. The puppy licked the child's fingers, causing delighted laughter. It will take generations, Greg said to Vorax as they watched, but perhaps one day the elder races will have their own animal companions. A new era indeed, agreed Vorax, still maintaining a safe distance from the puppy. The day we learned humans tamed apex predators as pets will be remembered as the day the galaxy changed forever.